I think it's important for the American people to realize that the far left faction of Senate Democrats shut down the government because we wouldn't give them hundreds of billions of dollars for health care benefits for illegal aliens. This is basically Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, he's worried he's going to get a primary challenge from AOC, and so he's shutting down the people's government to give in to sort of the left-wing coalition and their party, and it's craziness, and people are going to suffer because of it.
That is the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, telling the out-and-out truth. Schumer is terrified that the Democrats want him out, the Lizard King. He's pulling his little lizard tongue back inside his skinny city lips, and he's afraid that AOC, and she's out there talking like she's the biggest power broker in Washington. We have that, too. Crazy man, crazy. Hey, I've got to get to our mailbag. It's Wednesday, and it's mailbag day, and I got to get to our mailbag in a couple of minutes. Before I do, and I'm going to get to more on the government shutdown and what the idiot, corrupt Democrats are saying about it. And I've got some Republican response to her telling the truth and making sense and being obvious, which is good enough in Washington. But I got to get to the mailbag in a couple of minutes here. Before I do, I want to play one more soundbite for you of the Harvard law professor emeritus, Alan Dershowitz, a lifelong Democrat, a lifelong liberal, a Harvard guy. He's got his house on Martha's Vineyard, but he has to hole up in the house. He's got to hide out there because the violent, crazy, hate-filled Democrat mob is outside of his multi-million-dollar Martha's Vineyard home. Isn't it amazing? But Alan Dershowitz, this is pretty amazing, and I want to share this with you because it's nuts. And the Democrat Party is so violent and so crazy. We had the assassination of Charlie Kirk just a couple of weeks ago now. And you know what's happening on campuses? In Utah, Turning Point USA had their biggest rally ever yesterday at a university in Utah. 6,500 people attended. A wonderful event. It's growing instead of shrinking as the Democrats would like. But one of the effects is that campuses are now saying, well, we can't have conservative gatherings here because of the danger of violence, the threat of violence, right? And one of the things here is kind of a big deal. My friend Greg Mueller and I going back and forth today and this morning. One of the serious concerns that conservatives and people that might speak on campus, conservative speakers might have, after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, is that universities and high schools, lefties who are anti-free speech to begin with, they say, oh, there are too many security concerns. We can't have conservatives speak on campus because they might get shot by lunatic transgender Democrats or their boyfriends or something like that, right? Well, the New York University School of Law canceled a Federalist Society event that had been scheduled for October 7th. Today is October 1st, of course. Happy October to all of you. And the Federalist Society, how dare they be a conservative organization, scheduled an event at the NYU, New York University School of Law, for October 7th. And then we learned, the Washington Free Beacon reported, that New York University Law School axes Federalist Society October 7th event because they say, oh, there is too much danger of violence. So the Democrats commit violence, and then Democrats use the Democrat violence as an excuse to trample free speech, but only of conservatives because, notwithstanding what Don Lemon lied, just amazing. But the Free Beacon, the great people at the Free Beacon, with another wonderful story today, or a true story at least, and the Washington Post isn't covering it. NYU axes Federalist Society event scheduled for October 7th, citing security concerns. And they said, for security reasons and because we anticipate an increased likelihood of demonstrations, this is what that means riots, and protests. Isn't that the same, demonstrations and protests? What they're concerned about is assassinations and shootings and bloodbath. That's what they're concerned about. The likelihood of demonstrations and protests connected to the anniversary of the October 7th, 2023 incidents in Gaza. The attacks were not in Gaza. They were by Gaza. Every university should be closed, and we should start over again. This is what the morons at NYU wrote. For security reasons, because we anticipate an increased likelihood of demonstrations and protests, redundant, repetitive, and unnecessarily duplicative, connected to the anniversary of the October 7th, 2023 incidents. You mean the genocidal massacre, the kidnappings, the rapes? The incidents in Gaza, not in Gaza, in Israel, perpetrated by Gazans, who are so-called Palestinians. Would it be possible to host Mr. Shapiro on another date? Another date. Can't have that. The New York University Law School appears to have canceled a Federalist Society event scheduled for October 7th because administrators fear that protesters, left-wing radicals who are violent, a mob, would disrupt it, according to people familiar with the matter and emails obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. The cancellation has raised concerns about the heckler's veto, the assassin's veto. We need to update that term, heckler's veto. And it's the assassin's veto, the gunman's veto, the active shooter's veto. And comes as the White House's anti-Semitism task force has vowed to investigate NYU, which last year settled a lawsuit alleging that the university failed to crack down on unsanctioned anti-Israel protests. The Federalist Society chapter had invited conservative legal rights scholar Ilya Shapiro to discuss. He's a legal scholar. It's the NYU Law School. To discuss his new book, Lawless, they love their colons, The Miseducation of American Elites. That's his book. And Ilya Shapiro, who is Jewish, has criticized the anti-Israel protesters and taken various schools to task over their handling of encampments. Now, so they're canceling it. It's like the heckler's veto, but it's the murderer's veto. It's the assassin's veto. And so the Democrats shoot people and kill them when they're speaking at public events on college campuses. And then other college campuses say, well, we don't want any of that, so we're going to cancel any conservative speakers. Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles. And that's the Democrat Party. And that is the Democrat Party. They are not liberals. All right, let's go to the Alan Dershowitz thing, because this is kind of amazing, and it should be noted by everyone in the entire country, and certainly by Democrats. But Alan Dershowitz, a video posted, lifelong Democrat, lifelong liberal, Harvard academic, Jewish, and he's pretty much had it with the Democrat Party. Alan, this is 43 seconds long. Alan Dershowitz.
I'm going to be supporting the Republicans in the midterm election. I'm hoping that the Republicans maintain control both of the House and the Senate. The last thing I want is Chuck Schumer to be head of the Senate, or Liz Warren to be chairperson of a committee, or AOC to be chairperson of a committee. The Democrats have not only lost my votes, but they have made me an enemy, essentially, by how they've moved away from American values, Israeli values, and values of decency. So I'm not only no longer a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, but I am a very anti-Democrat. I'm against the Democratic Party. I will do anything to see Mom Donnie defeated.
Very anti-Democrat. Very anti, and he's not calling them the Democratic Party, he's calling them Democrat. And Alan Dershowitz says that about the Democrat Party. That is kind of a big deal. Definitely a big deal. And I still haven't gotten to the government shutdown, but Alan Dershowitz has left the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party has declared him to be an enemy. And, you know, they're shooting a lot of people. So we got that going. The Daily Caller has the Alan Dershowitz story. Maybe we should post that, because that is a good story to share with, you know, with your Democrat friends and family. He was on Talkline with Zev Brenner when he made those comments. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. All right, now, I have to focus now, because today is Mailbag Day. Where's our mailbag music? We have got to have mailbag music. And our mailbag questions are just like this. From Tom. Tom asks, how long do you think the federal government will be shut down? How long should it be shut down? You know, honestly, I think that the Democrats are going to smell a loss for themselves in this, and they're going to feel compelled to reopen the government sooner rather than later. Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King, is such a reptilian that he'll find some way to weasel out of it. AOC is targeting his Senate seat, and somebody's going to have to call these clowns on their BS. This is 100% Democrat shutdown, 100% Schumer shutdown. Even the polls are bad news on the government shutdown, are bad news for the Democrat Party. And when the Democrats see that the polls are against them, then they will say, oh, we can't do this because the polls are against us. And that's all they care about is, you know, their own political power. That's who they are. The view on whether Democrats should or should not shut down the government if their demands are not met. 65% of respondents in the New York Times Siena poll, 65% said that the government should not be shut down. All the Democrats care about is their own power. I don't think it's going to last long. I want to do a specific date. It might even be cured today. They're going to have another vote on it today. I'm going to say before Saturday, this shutdown will be resolved. Now, the last one went on for weeks and weeks. I don't think the Democrats, it's about their own political standing. So I think, let me just go say by Friday, because I said by Saturday. I'm going to say by Friday that this will be resolved. How about that? Democrats just want billions and billions in health care for illegal alien gang members to cure their monkeypox. Because the Democrats, you know, they're dating the illegal alien gang members. They don't want to spread monkeypox, you know, back to their husbands, and that's just the men. Randy asks, hey, Chris, my question for Wednesday is, who's the slimiest, weaseliest politician in Washington today? Boy, we saw that one this morning and said that's a tough one. That's setting the bar pretty high. You know, if I have to give an answer right now, I'm going to say Chuck Schumer. But we got Nancy Pelosi, who is just saying absolutely crazy things and cursing her face off like an Uzbek sailor with the F-bombs and the S-bombs, and she's insane. But Chuck Schumer is the biggest. Now, we have the entire squad, AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar. And you got the Democrat leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, yeah, he's challenging Trump to come out for a fist fight. And that they're a violent criminal gang of racists. They're the Democrat Party. But I'm gonna go with Schumer today, Randy, because he shut the government down in order to get free transgender surgeries for illegal alien gang members from Venezuela. How do you get slimier than that? Just Win Baby asks, how is the Chicago's Teachers Union getting away with honoring cop killer Assata Shakur? How is there no mainstream media coverage on it? Well, the second part of that question kind of answers itself, because the so-called mainstream news media isn't mainstream, and they're not media. They're, in the broadest sense, they're media, but they're not journalistic. But yeah, it's true. The Chicago Teachers Union praised a fugitive cop murderer who escaped from prison in New Jersey, fled to communist Cuba, and died there about a week ago or so. And the Chicago's Teachers Union posted online on their Twitter account praise for her, the communist cop killer, convicted cop killer, Assata Shakur, not her real name. Joanne Chesimard is her real name. And the Democrat Party is pro-murder. And the Teachers Union in Chicago, and this is they're raising the next generation, right? They're teaching, educating the next generation of cop killers, fugitives, murderers, criminals, because they are the Democrat Party. I have two more mailbag questions coming right up. Stay right there. You know, the big wireless companies have been pulling one over on us all for a long time, And that's why it's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I made the switch. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, same towers, same transmitters, without the big wireless cost every month. And it may not just be about saving money every month on my bill, although that's real good. It's about not being used and abused and taken for granted by my current cell phone carrier, my old cell phone carrier, your current cell phone carrier. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? Probably not. I certainly don't. But people over 50 tend to use very little data every month, less than 8 gigs in a month. Big Wireless puts everybody into an unlimited data plan because they need to redistribute your wealth to cover the cost of, 9-year-olds and 14-year-olds who are using 10 times as much data as you're using, and we're being suckered here. If you're not using all that data, you are the one being used. When you've had enough of that, switch to consumer cellular. They set me up with an amazing service and a great phone. It's really easy to make the switch. You call them on the phone. You talk to an actual human being, not a robot. That person is based right in the United States, not on a space platform over Kuala Lumpur. They're incredibly helpful people, too. It'll take you about 20 minutes to make the switch. So give them a call today and do the right thing by yourself. Call them at 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. All right, I've got two more mailbag questions coming up. Your calls and the Democrats on the government shutdown that they inflicted.
I listen to them, and I tell them to go themselves.
Yeah, and I looked up that Assata Shakur, the cop killer, racist, communist, literally. And the Chicago Teachers Union, rest in power, rest in peace, Assata Shakur. Today we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter. She's a cop killer, terrorist, racist, communist. A fierce writer, a revered elder of black liberation, a murderer, convicted murderer, and leader of freedom, whose spirit continues to live on in our struggle. This is literally the Chicago's Teachers Union posting this when a notorious terrorist, cop killer, fugitive, communist, and racist, which they're fine with. They're fine with all this. This is the Democrat Party, and this is the Chicago's Teachers Union should be banned. The Chicago school system should be shut down permanently because of this one tweet. Assata refused to be silenced. She should have been executed in the electric chair. She taught us that it is our duty to fight for our freedom. She wasn't fighting for freedom. She was fighting for slavery, for communism. And then she died under communism in Cuba because when her friends broke her out of jail, another radical left-wing group, she escaped to Cuba. Now, Chicago is, of course, a war zone, and I'm sorry, but in our mailbag, and a great question from the mailbag from Just Win Baby. How does the Chicago Teachers Union get away with honoring cop killer Assata Shakur? How is there no mainstream media coverage of it? Those questions kind of answer themselves. The answer is Democrats. And the Chicago Teachers Union posting a glowing picture of Assata Shakur, and they created a special slate remembering the life and legacy of Assata Shakur, real name Joanne Chesimard. Actually, her real name is, she has multiple real names. 1947 until September 25th, 2025, when she died in communist Cuba, where she escaped to after she was broken out of prison by left-wing communist killers. And the Chicago Teachers Union posted online with the Teachers Union logo, rest in power, rest in peace, Assata Shakur. Today we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter, a communist, a fierce writer, a murderer, a revered elder of black liberation, a violent criminal death cult, and a leader of freedom whose spirit continues to live in our struggle. This is the Teachers Union, all right? Assata, not her real name, refused to be silenced. She taught us that, quoting her now, It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other, except for the people we murder, and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. That is, of course, Karl Marx and workers of the world unite. We have nothing to lose but our chains, from the Communist Manifesto. And Joanne Chesimard, she murdered a New Jersey state trooper, police officer. She was caught by the police. She was put on trial by a jury of her peers. She was found guilty, and she was sentenced to a long, long time in prison. Then the communists broke her out, and she escaped to communist Cuba, where she lived as a slave for the rest of her life, but she liked it. And she's, got her Marxist thing going on here, and isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party. And the school system, honestly, in Chicago. And again, over the weekend, there was a massacre at a church in Michigan where 4 were killed and 8 were wounded, while at the same time in Chicago, over the weekend, 4 were killed and 12 were wounded. And I think, honestly, that maybe the Chicago Teachers Union might have something to do with the murder rate there. Communists, that the literal communists praising cop killers, murdered New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster. And isn't that okay? On the Jersey Turnpike in 1973, because they're involved in the Communist Revolution, don't you know? Man, aren't they amazing? But a great question from Just Win Baby for the mailbag today. And how does the Teachers Union get away with it? Well, because the communists who love cop killers and Luigi Mangione, the CEO killer, the Democrat Party is the party of murder. Let's be perfectly clear. And Don Lemon is a moron and does not use the internet, and he's a racist. But that's okay. So we have that. All right, let me get going here, because Bill on the mailbag today also asked, our adversaries, I love that conservatives refer to the communist killers as our adversaries, assassinate Charlie Kirk, cop killer, communist, Sada Shakur, heroes of the Democrat Party. Luigi Mangione, hero of the Democrat Party, CEO killer, heroes of the Democrat Party. Bill asks, our adversaries disrupt our nation on a daily basis. The Democrats do that too. That's fun. Why are the Democrats aiding and abetting our adversaries? Isn't there a law against that? Well, First Amendment, they're all about the First Amendment when it's Jimmy Kimmel suspended by ABC and they pretend that the government suspended him and the FCC. And then they don't give the FCC credit for reinstating Jimmy Kimmel on ABC. They're mentally impaired. I almost used a word you're not supposed to use. They're mental. Wow, isn't there a law against it? There really isn't a law against it. No, the Democrat Party, they're getting ready to fire on Fort Sumter, and they're breaking away. There are a number of Democrats around the country refused to lower the flag to half-staff when the president ordered it for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because they're pro-murder. They're pro-assassination. They're the left. Wow, isn't that amazing? And then final question, Nick asks, how do you and Jason really get along on Newsmax? That's kind of a fun question. And Michael Piercy said, this is an optional question for you. You don't have to answer that. We get along just fine. The truth is, the moment I started there, Jason was aggressively hostile toward me. And we get along within the parameters of our duties on the television show at Newsmax. And when we see each other before and after the show, we say hello and goodbye. And that's the complete answer to that question. I started when I started working there. I was like, let's go out and have a beer. Come on, we'll go out and hang out. We'll talk off campus. It'll be better. No. A week later, I tried again. Let's go out and have a beer. No. A month after that, Come on, let's go out. We just go out. We can go off campus. I don't drink. Like, well, I know a lot of people that go drink. They have a place I'm suggesting. They've got club soda and ginger ale. They got all kinds of stuff. It's not really about getting hammered. It's just about going out for social reasons. But never mind that.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
Ah, yes. Pocahontas. All right. Now, there was a government shutdown. I don't know if you heard anything about that. Well, we just talked about it. And I do think that the government will be open by, today is Wednesday. I think it will be open by close of business on Friday. I said by Saturday initially. I'm going to move it up because the lazy bastards on Capitol Hill don't want to work Saturday. So they'll mop it up on aisle Schumer by close of business on Friday. That's my prediction. Yes, sir. Now, where are we going? 31? Oh, okay. My apologies. That's right. It's been so long since we were back there. Let's go to, because this is kind of fun, a lady reporter working for a Lindell TV. My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell's got Lindell TV, and he's pro-American. He's not a communist. And they have a reporter, a lovely woman who is did a great job. She found Maxine Waters, and her name is Allison Steinberg. And Allison Steinberg saw Maxine Waters and wanted to ask her about, the Democrat Party prioritizing free health care for illegal alien gang members illegally in the country as illegal aliens. And why would we all want to pay for that? Well, the Democrats want to pay for that. And so the wonderful, I'd have never met her, but she did a great job here. Allison Steinberg with Lindell TV finding Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Do Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown? Because if the government does shut down, Americans...
Excuse me, stop it right there. We're not prioritizing. What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's always open with a lie. That's the Democrat tradition. Well, okay, then go ahead and keep it open. It's the Joe Biden budget that you guys approved over and over again. And this already passed out of the House of Representatives because Republicans don't have their heads wedged into each other's dark and remote locations. But Allison Steinberg with Maxine Waters.
Aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
What? They're all mentally impaired. They're mental dwarves. English is not her first language. It is her only language, but it's still not her first language. And then amazing. And so 1 million abortions a year, that's pretty good. And aborting 40% of the black population in the womb, that's good. You're racist, you genocidal lunatic. Stop the genocide. But we got that. And stop shooting people. How about that? The young reporter, Steinberg, continued with Maxine Waters.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
you're divisive. No, you're not.
Yeah, no,
you're being divisive. No, please. You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me.
Yeah. God forbid controversy from Maxine Waters. Yeah. She really cared about human life, not the 1 million plus abortions here, not the 20,000 shot and killed a year, but never mind that, not the crime in her neighborhood. Of course, she doesn't live in her neighborhood, does she? Doesn't live in her district, multi-million-dollar mansion thing, the usual stuff. Chuck Schumer is the lizard king, and the House of Representatives, they voted on the bill long ago. It passed the House of Representatives. Republicans couldn't be obstructed by Democrats there, but the Democrats could obstruct in the Senate. And the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said this is a clean, they call it a CR, a continuing resolution. It's not really a budget that just keeps the government open for a while. It's ineptitude on fire, like the Democrats threw Molotov cocktails at it. Chuck Schumer.
Their bill, they call it clean. We call it totally partisan. There was no input from Democrats. Not a single line in their bill had input from Democrats. They never consulted us. Thune didn't consult me. Johnson didn't consult Hakeem. And the bottom line is that we had a partisan bill.
Oh, girl, you're a partisan bastard. Why don't you just go ahead and vote for it? You don't have the majority. Well, you need 60 votes to pass it, so we're going to shut it down. And make no mistake, the Democrats are doing nothing but to shut it down. Senator Rick Scott from Florida was this morning on the Fox News channel. I was watching him live in the 6 a.m. hour so that you didn't have to. Senator Rick Scott, Republican from Florida.
I've been up here 6.5 years. We don't pass budgets up here. I mean, this doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you know, we ought to pass a budget. We ought to work with the House to get our budgets done. They're supposed to be done by September 30. I'm a business guy. I always pass budgets. And by the way, if you didn't do your job in business, you didn't get paid. You don't show up and do your job, you don't get paid. Why are we getting paid? We shouldn't get paid if we don't do our job. We need to figure out how to work together to get our budgets done. It's as simple as that.
That sounds kind of common sense, doesn't it? Now, Schumer, the Lizard King, he's playing partisan BS, and Rick Scott is talking about getting things done and coming from business. We have budgets. We've got to, come on, let's pass the budget. Senator Rick Scott.
I already have a bill. We've got a bill that we don't get paid during the shutdown. Ron Johnson's got a bill that will never have shutdowns. That should pass also. But on top of that, what are the Democrats doing? This is a clean resolution. All we're doing is keeping the funding. Actually, the funding is too high. It's still the Biden funding. But I don't want to shut down government, so I support it. But the Democrats, they want a shutdown for whatever reason. How is this good for the country? Nobody wins with a shutdown.
They can only get away with this because of a corrupt news media. Rick Scott, Navy vet, former governor of Florida, U.S. senator, businessman. And he's having none of it. And then he pointed out the Schumer problem.
Here's the deal. Schumer is so partisan. This is all about how do you hurt Trump? How do you hurt Trump? How do you hurt Trump? He is so partisan.
He is so, and that's all they care about is destruction and anarchy. Bop, bop, bop. I am telling you. All right, let's go to soundbite number 31. Soundbite number 31, because we're jumping ahead here. This is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He's a Republican. They passed the bill through the House long ago.
At midnight, the Democrats followed through on their threat to shut down the United States government. Now, thankfully, President Trump is trying to mitigate the damage as much as possible. His administration is working to limit the harm to the American people. But the longer this goes on, the more pain will be inflicted because it is inevitable when the government shuts down.
But if you're with Tren de Aragua or MS-13, come on in, because the Democrats are getting you a bundled package of free stuff because they want your illegal vote. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
The sad thing about it is that every single bit of this was entirely avoidable. Democrats could have worked with us in a bipartisan manner to avert this unnecessary and very harmful shutdown. But instead, they did something that is rather shocking to us. They prioritized taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens.
That's because they're essentially gangsters, criminals, communists. They love Assata Shakur and hate New Jersey state troopers. They're violent. They're banning speech on campuses because Democrats are shooting conservative speakers on campus. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House.
This is very important to note. Democrats themselves have voted to pass a clean bipartisan CR just like this 13 times in the last few years. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, 13 times this happened. Republicans did the responsible thing, even when we were in the minority, to keep the government open. And today should be no different. There is nothing new in this legislation. There's no poison pill. There's no partisan tricks. There's no gimmicks whatsoever. The only difference today is the man who is sitting in the Oval Office.
And the Lizard King on the Democrat side in the Senate, the Republican leader in the United States Senate is John Thune. He's had about enough of the Lizard King, too.
Unfortunately, we are here this morning in a government shutdown that the Democrats wanted. Chuck Schumer, at the behest of a bunch of liberal, far-left activist groups, has walked his Democrat colleagues into a boxed canyon. There's no way out, folks. There's no way out.
A boxed canyon, I like that. That's, old Wild West stuff there, the boxed canyon. That's people in New York don't talk boxed canyons. Are Or if they do, it's something we can't talk about here. Wow. So the Democrats did it, and then the media every time they say, I've got more audio on that I don't think I'm going to be able to get to. And how the media blames the Republicans every time, and it doesn't matter. If it's Republicans in charge of the House, the Senate, and the White House, then it's the Republicans' fault. If it's Democrats in charge of the House, the Senate, and the White House, then it's the Republicans' fault. If the Republicans just have the Senate, it's the Republicans' fault. And then when the Democrats shut it down, as we just saw last night, it's the Republicans' fault. The most corrupt institution in America, the American news media.
That's what he thinks health care is about. And so.
There was more funny stuff yesterday from President Trump in the Oval Office. He had the Democrat Communist Party leaders in the Oval Office. And on the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, he had 2 red baseball caps that say Trump 2028. You know, he's not eligible to run for re-election in 2028 because it's limited to 2 terms. But he's got the Trump 2028 red baseball caps on the desk. And he offered them to Chuck Schumer and to Hakeem, the anti-Semite, Jeffries. And they were angry about it. They were bitter because they have no sense of humor at all. And then you got the Democrat mayor. Which one do you like better, the mayor of Chicago or the mayor? Let's go Brandon Johnson, because President Trump wants to fight crime and reduce murders in Chicago. The former educator, Brandon Johnson, he's for more murder.
This is absolutely appalling. This president is an unstable human being, and it's right for this moment to check him. This is not only appalling, but this is, quite frankly, an egregious attempt to undermine the sanctity of our democracy.
Undermined? To undermine? And I don't know, we don't have time for Hakeem Jeffries because he's challenging President Trump to a fist fight outside when Trump is not around, of course, and he didn't accept the generous offer of a gift hat.
When I'm back in the Oval Office, say it to my face.
Yeah. You want to go outside? It's the Democrats are all criminals. They're in between crimes. They're in the midst of committing crimes. Nancy Pelosi up there throwing F-bombs around and trading stocks on Wall Street like a champ. You know, she beats Warren Buffett when it comes to trading on Wall Street.